Senator Maeba joins us next. He, former chairman, Senate Committee on the downstream, still a member of the upstream, I beg your pardon, still a member of the PDP. Thank you for coming on this morning.
Thank you.
Well, this screening, we've seen a number of the ministers have been confirmed, and some others we're looking forward to the Senate screening next week. But what expectations did you have as a former senator, and did you see this Senate meet that expectation with the screening?
What you know, there is the screening is just like a ritual, and the Senate has a very serious difficulty in trying to produce good ministers for Nigeria over time, because number one, like in the practice, unlike the practice every other place in the world, nominees are sent to the Senate with portfolio. And when they are sent to the Senate with portfolio, it calls for a thorough job because the nominee is referred to an appropriate standing committee of the Senate that will do a background check, that will check the intelligence, the IQ of the nominee, his professional attachment to the portfolio, and the rest. But in this case, you just have, I was thinking that after waiting for President Buhari, that we will have, a reversal of the current trend in the country where nominees are just sent to the Senate, ask general questions like aptitude tests, and then they are assigned to ministry to which they have no idea what is going on there. I had an engineer friend of mine who was sent to virtually something like like tourism, and he was like, "What will I do here?" I said, "But you tell him you can't do the job. I'm a petroleum engineer. I'm a chartered engineer. So if I come into the cabinet and you send me to say go to culture and tourism, that is the day I quit, because I'm not desperate. These guys look like if they're looking for a job. So for me, sending the nominees without portfolio have defied the entire structure put up by the Senate to produce good ministers in the first place. That is the way I see it.
So could you tell us then, what was the thinking? Why weren't those portfolios attached, while you were there?
It's politics. It's politics, and people should play bold politics. If the nation is moving, if we are trying to get to where we are going, issue of putting, what do they call it, square peg in round holes? Okay. Putting the right guy on the right job, make half of the job done. But when you carry a senior advocate of Nigeria and put him as Minister of Works, what do you expect him to do? So I think that the first thing is for us to change the culture, because the culture is not correct. And if you don't check, I'm an engineer, you have to check if the foundation of the issue, if the foundation is not correct, and then you build a massive structure on it, and you see it one day collapse. Don't blame it, because when you send a guy who have no idea in where you are sending him, who is going to give him the idea? Is it the president? The president virtually have no idea in many of these things.
Yeah, but I'm just wondering, because some people will disagree and say the job of, if we're to say, for instance, that, is putting square pegs in square holes, or, the person must be right for the job, then perhaps we will not have the lawmakers that we have now, because the job is to understand the Constitution and be able to make laws for good governance. And you also have oversight in that regard. That's on the one hand. And that the job of the ministers are to administer and guide policies, as it were, which will generally be reached in the Federal Executive Council. Shouldn't you be looking for people who have been proven administrators in whatever it is that they're doing, rather than looking for
that is one way to look at it. And I disagree with you when you talk about senators. Legislators all over the world are brought into the legislative house to grow. Like in the United States, you got people like Senator Hagel that have been in office for 40-something years, and you got people who have been in the Senate for 30-something years. That is why continuation is an essential aspect of a legislator learning on the job. The legislator is supposed to learn on the job, either in the state assembly, either in the national assembly. So you don't change them, because nobody have gone to school to study legislating. Nobody gone to school to study senator. So it is on-the-job training. But the issue of who is a minister, first, putting a professional on the job, got the job done first. For instance, you bring somebody who is a medical doctor. That's the only place they have not changed anyway. The only place we have in the professional is who is the Minister of Health. Now, but the issue, what I'm trying to say is that, what do you expect the Senate to do when you bring my friend Fashola and asking him if you are sent to Ministry of FCT, if you are sent to Ministry of Works? He just tried to use his natural intelligence to answer you, because it is not his job. His job is that, apart from being the former governor of Lagos State, he is an attorney of law. He's a senior advocate of Nigeria who's risen to the peak of his legal profession. And so, if you carry him to go to somewhere, you just ask him to go and administer policies. Okay. But the next issue, if you look at it critically, all the ministers sent, the Senate also have petition against these ministers. But to which part do they administer these petitions? Because the ministers are coming with police clearance, with SSS clearance, and we know how to obtain it.
How do they obtain it?
It's very easy. If you have good friendship with the police, it is given to you. There's no background check. Somebody has been a minister before they discovered that he was doing this, and that. But they have gotten police clearance.
Hasn't that changed?
I mean, this is the government we're talking about.
How can it change when you don't have a culture of fingerprint? We don't have a culture of fingerprint. Nobody is a ghost to detect that Mope was a criminal sometimes in 1999.
Why didn't you try to change this while you were there?
That is what, when I was there, it is the most difficult job in Nigeria is the job of being a legislator. Because the Constitution is faulty. Section 88, Section 89 of the Constitution make the job of legislative investigation just a mere paper exercise, unless we are in tune with the president. Because the job, like Section 89, give the power to investigate on, bring out corrupt people to the National Assembly. But 2D ended with the section ended in total form.
But wait,
because you need to, after investigation, you are investigating a minister who is a very close friend to the president. And the end of the investigation, you pass the report, and then straight you send it to the president.
So what were you expecting, that the Senate has to prosecute?
Every time we do constitutional amendment, I have always insisted on my colleague. Two places I sought for amendment in the Constitution. First, Section 14. Secondly, Section 89. And we are in a better, because Section 14 deal with the principle of living in this country, where adequate shelter will be provided for everybody who needs shelter, where adequate care will be provided for the old. It talks about the privilege of a citizen, either is old and is young. Then Section 89, if you amend 2D to include, censorship, that if the National Assembly find a minister to have been corrupt after investigation, it is passed that the motion that the minister stand removed from office, and corruption is over. Because you cannot shield the legislators. They have been doing their job, they do it very well, but at the end, I have investigated, for instance, the Bonga, Shell Bonga, where we discovered that 1.6 billion was excess from what they submitted as cost. What do we do? The investigation report is submitted to the executive, was given to the minister, and it goes. That was the money saved for the nation, and Shell admitted before our committee that this money was excess. But it's gone.
You know what I'm thinking? I think your argument for some Nigerians, they'll disagree, to say you must be a professional and expert for you to be put in a particular ministry. For instance, senior advocates of Nigeria were lawyers, they're first lawyers, and you thought that they should be put in maybe in the justice ministry. But if you look at it in other parts of the world, that's not what we see there. We've seen people who are experts or professional in other professional fields being administrators. Even a case in point, hospital administrators in most parts of the world are not doctors. So why can't we have even someone like you, who is a petroleum engineer, head the Ministry of Health?